All right, good morning, everybody. I was really going back and forth with this decision today on whether or not I wanted to actually make this video. But the more I thought about it, the more I heard people talk about it, and I listened to people's takes on this, I just started to think, and I just started seeing something that really disturbed me here. Full disclosure, people who have been follow me on this channel, following me on other podcasts, they know that I never, ever, ever disrespect fighters and particularly their decision to stop fighting when they are seriously injured. I don't think anyone deserves to have a serious injury potentially for the rest of their life just so they could finish a fight on their feet, go out on their shield. Again, everybody knows my history on this. They know that I'm consistent. I did not question Daniel Dubois. I never criticized his decision to not continue fighting, and I am not criticizing Billy Joe Saunders' decision here. I'm not criticizing anything that Mark Tibbs did here. I commend what Mark Tibbs did here. And I've said several times in the past that more trainers should do with what Mark Tibbs did and not put it on the fighter. So I'm not even concerned about what Mark Tibbs did. He should be the one doing damage control here for his fighter. But there's one group of people that should not be doing damage control for Billy Joe Saunders, especially when they didn't do damage control for Daniel Dubois. So there's a double standard there, there's a hypocrisy there. But even on a higher level, I'm going to unpack this a little bit more and tell you why I think they are doing the damage control for Billy Joe Saunders and why they didn't do it for Daniel Dubois. That's the bigger issue here. Okay. It's okay to be biased, but when you cannot even show a sliver of objectivity, when you boxing media people are putting out deceptive propaganda and you're being intellectually dishonest, and you know that you're being intellectually dishonest, but you don't care about it, then obviously your credibility, your agenda, and your overall character as people can be called into question. Well, Beeb, you're just a small channel. You're a hater because those guys are getting all the access that you wish you had. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I won't deny that. I won't deny that. But here's the difference between me and them. If I had that access, I would be more responsible in the way that I used it. I would try, even though I'm biased like everybody else, I would try to be objective. And this is why I could never do this full time, because there's just so much BS going on behind closed doors, not only with the boxers, the managers, the promoters, but with the media as well. Because obviously the media wants access. They want sponsorships through some of these management companies. They want to be taken care of. And they compromise themselves to do it and to get that access and to get those sponsorships and to get in good with certain management groups and promoters and all the powers that be in boxing. So this is why I'm so glad that I don't do this full time, because I just couldn't deal with it. I just could not play the game to that level. I could not play the game to that level. I would not want to have to compromise myself just so I could put food on the table. And I know a lot of these people do it full time. So here's the issue that I have. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be objective. Um, Michelle Joy Phelps did an interview with Mark Tibbs shortly after the fight. And she was asking him about the stoppage. And she was trying to get to the bottom of what actually went on in that corner, who made that decision, and why the decision was made. And like I said, I love how Mark Tibbs handled it. He kind of slipped up a little bit, but his intent to protect his fighter's honor was extremely admirable. And I would love to have a guy like that on my side. Trust me, I would love it. And this is no criticism towards him. And this is no criticism towards Billy Joe Saunders. To me, Billy Joe Saunders, to me, is not really a likable person. But with that being said, that doesn't mean he deserves to be blind in one eye because he's not a likable person. Okay? I don't want to see him physically maimed for the rest of his life. I don't want that. I'm not that malicious and that cold-hearted of a person that I have all that hate in my heart for somebody. I'm not going to take it to that level. And yeah, he did say what he said about Daniel Dubois, but two wrongs don't make a right. I don't want to see either man go blind. But let's get to the bottom of it. When Michelle Joy Phelps was asking about what went on in the corner, whose decision it was, Mark Tibbs went on to say, I didn't get the response that I wanted from him, so I pulled it. I didn't get the response I needed in the corner. I'm not surprised I got the response I got. And then she pressed him further. So he basically told you he couldn't continue. And then he goes, he never, said that. It's it. He left it to me. You did make the decision, Mark Tibbs, based on the response that you got. And I'm guessing he asked him, can you see? How do you feel? Can you go on? I'm just paraphrasing what I believe, and I suspect that the questions that were asked were along the lines of that nature. So you have to say to yourself, if he did get the response that he wanted, if he did get the response that he needed, then he would have let the fight go on. So if you want to get technical about it, yeah, he made the decision based off of what his fighter told him. So if you're in the corner and your trainer asks you, can you see? No, I can't see at all. Right? So obviously, your trainer is not going to send you out there with one eye against a puncher who's starting to connect on you, and that one eye is your lead eye. So he's not going to send you out there knowing that you're not going to be able to see the punches coming at you from this guy who's a murderous puncher. How do you feel? I'm in pain. How bad's the pain? Every time he touches me, I can feel it, and it's debilitating. I can barely deal with it, or whatever. Certain things a fighter will say to a trainer, he knows he's going to elicit a specific response from that trainer. I remember Pavel Wallach, when he fought Delvin Rodriguez, his eye looked like a grapefruit. And we interviewed him back in the day on Rope-A-Dope Radio, I think it was. Or I interviewed him when I was on Rope-A-Dope Radio back in 2009, 2010-ish, I think it was. Or 2000, in between 2009 and 2011. I have to go back and look at the actual date, but it was around that time frame. And his eye was swollen shut. And I remember asking him, so how was it when the referee kept going in your corner and asking you if you could see? You know what he said to him? The referee was holding up fingers. I was basically trying to squint out of the other eye. Even though he was covering the other eye, I was trying to look through the spaces in between his finger. I almost had to guess how many fingers he held up because I did not want that fight to be stopped. And if he told the doctor that was going to that corner every round, at the end of every round, that he could not see, he knew the fight would have been stopped. So what did he do? He told the doctor he could see. He was basically guessing how many fingers that the doctor was holding up. And again, this isn't a knock on Billy Joe Saunders. I'm going to be honest. I don't hold anyone to a standard that I couldn't live by myself. I've been in situations where when I was sparring. I had a fractured rib. I had a broken nose. I stopped the sparring session. Why am I going to sit there and let someone pound on a broken nose? And instead of having a broken nose, I'll have a shattered nose. Instead of having a fractured rib, I'll have a complete break of the rib. For what? Just so I can say that I'm tough? In a non-paid sparring session? For what? So I've pulled myself out of situations when I felt that it would be unwise for me to continue. So I have I continue to say this, I have no problem with it. But what I do have a problem with is the media who are going out of their way to try to make it sound like it wasn't Billy Joe Saunders' decision. It was his corner's decision solely. And then Billy Joe Saunders comes out and said that Ben pulled him, not Mark Tibbs. But Mark Tibbs was the one in the interview that said, I pulled him. So there's a little bit of conflict of information here. Okay? So in my honest opinion, Billy Joe Saunders chose to not continue in this fight. But everyone is trying to make it, well, not everyone, but the biased media, particularly IFL TV, who put up about 20 or 30 videos in defense of Billy Joe Saunders, trying to emphasize that it wasn't him that stopped or made the decision to stop fighting. It was Mark Tibbs. When the evidence clearly shows here that Mark Tibbs stopped the fight based off of his fighter's reaction, based off of what his fighter told him to do or how he felt. I didn't get the response I wanted. So IFL, we already know. I'm gonna name drop here, and I don't care, man. I don't care. Kugan Cassius admittedly said that he's very close friends with Billy Joe Saunders. He likes Billy Joe Saunders a lot. They're close. Billy Joe Saunders is affiliated with MTK Global. MTK Global has a heavy influence on a lot of these channels. They sponsor them. They get them access to fighters. So it's quite ironic that all these Mark Tibbs interviews that have these quotes in them or similar to them are no longer on the internet. They're no longer on YouTube. Seems as though MTK Global, and again, my opinion, I stress my opinion, they contacted a lot of these channels and requested that they take these videos down that had these similar quotes to what I just said, where Mark Tibbs said, I didn't get the response I wanted, so I pulled it. I didn't get the response I needed. I'm not surprised I got the response I got. And then he was pressed. No, he never said that's it. Well, he basically, in not in so many words, did say that's it, because you asked him questions in regards to his condition and how he felt, and he basically told you he's not in condition to continue the fight. You know, Billy Joe Saunders and Kugan Cassius are very close friends. Kugan Cassius and IFL TV have a very great relationship with MTK Global, who manage Billy Joe Saunders. So you got to put two and two together. So all these videos have been taken down on YouTube, right? And it can't be a coincidence. Michelle Joy Phelps, Behind the Gloves, she took her video down. I put a link to in a description box to another smaller channel that uploaded her video probably before it got taken down. So that's how I found it. And I got the quotes again this morning, and I wanted to get the quotes. I didn't want to play the video because I don't want MTK Global coming after me. I don't want my channel being shut down. I don't want to lose the ability to do live streams. I don't want to be demonetized. I don't want to have to deal with the wrath of MTK Global, right? So I'm sure MTK Global asked these other channels to take the video down, and of course they're going to do it because they don't want to lose access to the fighters. They don't want to lose access to these events. They don't want to lose the monetary backing that MTK Global gives them. So once again, these channels, particularly IFL TV and Michelle Joy Phelps, they sold out. They sold out. And how come IFL TV hasn't taken down any of the videos where you have Dillian White and other boxers trashing Daniel Dubois? Why was he not given that same courtesy? Simple answer to that question, guys. Daniel Dubois is he's young and up and coming fighter. He's still a prospect, kinda. Not really a prospect, but he's a contender. He's a young contender. A top 12 or top 15 guy. Really, he doesn't have an affiliation with MTK Global. He's just starting out his boxing career in terms of becoming big. He's not on the level of Billy Joe Saunders yet. He's never held a world title. Doesn't have that MTK Global backing, and he's not best friends with Kugan Cassius or close friends with Kugan Cassius. So, of course, he's not going to be given that same courtesy. No one's apologizing to Daniel Dubois. No one's saying Daniel Dubois made the right decision. So then they're basically setting this up to make Billy Joe Saunders be able to say, well, it wasn't my decision. I didn't stop fighting. I didn't make the decision like Daniel Dubois made the decision. My corner made the decision for me. Then he may even come back and go as far as saying, well, people want to say that, what I said about Daniel Dubois, I'm being a hypocrite, but the difference here is he chose to stop fighting, but my corner stopped it for me. I would have continued if my corner didn't stop. No. They asked you how you felt. They asked you could see. These are, they had to ask these types of questions. And you did not indicate to your corner that you wanted to continue. With Deontay Wilder, when the corner made the decision to stop that fight, he wanted to continue. You could see it in the body language. He was surprised they stopped the fight. He was very disappointed they stopped the fight. He wanted to continue. His actions showed that. Billy Joe Saunders, in my opinion, made the decision to stop fighting. And now the media is trying to make it look like it was his corner that made the decision to try to save face for him and try to make him look like he wanted, like he would have continued if it wasn't for his corner, basically. And that's not true. That's not true. I totally disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. The trainer says, I didn't get the response that I wanted from him, so I pulled it. Okay? I pulled it. I didn't get the response I needed in the corner. So he was looking for responses from Billy Joe Saunders that would tell him that he could continue and that he wanted to continue. And Billy Joe Saunders indicated to him that he didn't. Because in my opinion, if he got the response he wanted, he got the response he needed, then he would have sent Billy Joe Saunders out there for another round. But the bigger problem here is all these channels who took the video down with these quotes in it. Okay? All the channels took the video down, and you have to suspect that it was because MTK Global or members of Billy Joe Saunders' management team asked them to, and they did it. And they did it. And I'll be honest with you, if I was told to take this video down, if I got a video like this and I got these quotes and I was asked to take it down, I wouldn't take it down. Now, Beeb, then you can turn around and say, well, these guys do it for a living. What if you were in their situation? Again, that's why I could never do this full time. That's why I could never do this full time, because I've seen people get blackballed because they ask tough questions. And when you put your future in the hands of these types of people who, if you ask a tough question and you ask it respectfully, right? And you ask it in a fair way, and they don't like the question, they will blackball you. They will tell others, don't go talk to this guy. They will tell media companies, don't approve this guy's credentials, right? So that's why you have these interviewers ask these types of questions. And then when they do ask a tough question and the fighter gets angry, then they back off, then they take videos down. Radio Raheem, they had that incident with Deontay Wilder. He made it a point to make another video showing that, him and Wilder made up or whatever, because he did not want to lose that contact and that access. So you guys can make fun of how small this channel is. You can call me a hater till the cows come home, and I will raise my right hand and I will say, guilty as charged. Guilty as charged, because you know what? I am a hater. Full-fledged hater. Because these people have access and they're not using it properly. And if I had that access, I would not use it so disingenuously like they're using it. I couldn't do it. You saw the interview with Demetrius Andrade yesterday. I asked him tough questions. Did I insult him? Was I hostile to him? Was I condescending to him? Did I ask gotcha questions? No. I respectfully asked him questions, and I got him to reveal things that maybe if he went back and heard the interview himself, he'd be like, oh shit, did I really say that to him? And if he called me up today and asked me and said, hey, can you edit some of that stuff out? Can you take the video down? When it looked like I wasn't really enthusiastic about fighting David Benavidez. I didn't really give the answer that I should have given him. He calls me up today and asks me to take it down. No. I asked you a legitimate question. You answered it. You may not have answered it the way you should have. You may not have answered it in a way that made you look favorable. But guess what? That's on you. It's not on me. Okay? I don't call fighters names. I don't insult them. I never question a fighter's heart, courage, because I do not hold any other man to a higher standard than I would hold for myself. Oh, Beeb, they're fighters. You're not a real fighter. Doesn't matter. There's got to be a level where too much is too much. At the end of the day, they're still human beings, and no one should have to die, lose an eye, have brain damage, not be able to walk and talk. That's what they sign up for. Okay, that's what they sign up for, but there are rules in place to ensure that it doesn't get to that level. That's why there's rules. That's why the referees stop the fights. That's why doctors stop the fights. That's why corners stop the fights. That's why there's gloves. That's why there's time limits on the rounds, because this is not a coliseum. It's a ring. Fighters fight a contest to see who can win based off of skill. Okay, there is violence involved, but again, it's not two gladiators in a ring fighting to the death. Okay? You can call them warriors if you want. Yeah, it's fine. But at the end of the day, it's not blood sport. Okay? It's not Mortal Kombat. Okay? It's real life. And there are rules in place. There are people in place to protect these fighters. No one is expected to die in the ring. No one's happy when someone dies in the ring. No one's happy when someone has double vision for the rest of their life. No one's happy when someone has a detached retina. Okay? No one's happy when someone suffers from brain damage and has to walk with a limp for the rest of their life because their brain doesn't fire properly to the neurons and the nerves in their legs. No one's happy about that. You don't get extra money for that. But for going out in your shield. When you go on BoxRec at the end of the fight, there's no asterisk that said, yeah, this guy lost by TKO in the 10th, but he went out on his shield and he fought bravely. There's no asterisk. You don't get paid extra for that. When you're at home sitting on your living room chair and your kids are running around and they're talking to you and you can't understand what they're saying and you can't reply back to them in the way that you should be able to reply back to them. All these people that called you quitter, that question your heart, they're not paying your fucking bills. They're not paying your bills. So at the end of the day, I'm calling out IFL TV. I'm calling out Michelle Joy Phelps, and I'm asking you, be consistent. Be consistent. This is not about trying to disparage Billy Joe Saunders. This is about being intellectually honest about the situation and being balanced in your journalism and being honest. You're not there to do Billy Joe Saunders' team favors. You're not there to help them out. You're not there to do damage control for them. You're not there to try to spin it in a different way than the way it actually is. You're not there to put out false, deceptive propaganda and narratives. Okay? If you want to really look at the situation, Mark Tibbs stood up for his fighter and he wanted to make it about him, put it on himself that he made the decision. But the interview showed that he made the decision based off of the answers he got from Billy Joe Saunders. That's the reality of the situation. We all know if Billy Joe Saunders answered him in the way he wanted, he was looking for specific answers. He needed specific answers. And he didn't get them. So that's why the decision was made. He didn't go back to the corner and just look at him and say, okay, you're done. There was a dialogue in that corner, guys. And there was a dialogue in that corner for a reason. So let's report what happened accurately. Let's not gloss over the fact that Billy Joe Saunders responded in a way that told Mark Tibbs that he was in no condition to continue. And that is perfectly fine. Billy Joe Saunders is a warrior. Daniel Dubois is a warrior. Because they went in there against a man that stood across from them that could do serious damage to them, that could cause permanent damage to them. And they knew that going in, and they still went in there, which is something that I would not do, something that you probably would not do, that you're sitting so conveniently behind your keyboard and you're typing all these derogatory words, okay? All these derogatory words, but you don't have the courage to live to the standard that you hold for other people. Oh, well, I'm not a professional fighter. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. But think about a time in your life where you made a decision when you were in danger that, or not even danger, but any type of really tough, stressful situation. How did you react to it? How did you react to it? Not only just in fighting, but anything, right? Someone puts you in a situation where you have to make a decision, and the result of that decision is life-changing. Are you willing to accept the repercussions and the result of that decision? Are you willing to risk everything just so you could say, hey, I'm special, I'm a warrior, I'm this, I'm that? When you know that the decision you make could affect you for the rest of your life, whether it be physically, mentally, financially, or whatever. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to lay it all on the line in anything that you do, knowing that if you do lay it all on the line, you could lose everything? Not just from a physical standpoint, but from any standpoint. So most people would take the easier route. Most people take the path of least resistance in life. right? No one gambles. I'm not going to, again, I apologize. Most people do not gamble on themselves. They don't bet on themselves. Most people wouldn't do that in any facet and area of life. So you could sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not a fighter," but name another situation. It doesn't have to be fighting that you put it all on the line, right? Where you could lose it all, right? Name a time you gambled on yourself like these guys do every time they enter that ring. Doesn't have to be physical. Could be any in any area of life. Most people play it safe. Most people take the path of least resistance. Most people take the easy road. But guess what? Billy Joe Saunders on that night did not take the easy road. Oh, well, he got paid millions of dollars. Okay. Okay. Is it worth losing the vision in one of his eyes? Is it worth suffering brain damage for the rest of his life? What good is that money if you can't enjoy it? What good is that money if you don't have your health? Is your health worth $8 million to lose? Especially when you're 30 years old. You have another 40 or 50 years left, or maybe even 60 years left. What type of quality of life would you want to live for that remaining time that you have on this earth? Is it worth having that $8 million in absence of your health? You have to ask that. You have to ask that. In the Daniel Dubois situation, when he suffered a similar injury and he went to an eye specialist, the eye specialist said, if you didn't stop when you stopped, you would have had double vision, possibly for the rest of your life. He had retinal bleeding. Once you break the bones in that eye and that eye is moving around and it's being pulled in different directions, it could fall back into your sinuses. The bone fragments can damage nerves in there, right? That may be irreparable. There's so many potential things that could happen to you that could be irreparable if you continue to allow yourself to be smashed in that same area, right? So he very well could have suffered permanent vision impairment if he did not stop fighting. That's it. That's it. So that's the way we look at it. And it's ironic too, because Daniel Dubois suffered the injury in the 3rd round. And he continued to fight on with that injury all the way up until the 10th. And he was still up, and he was up on the scorecards. Okay? He was up on the scorecards. So what he did was very impressive, being able to suffer that injury in the 3rd round and deal with that injury. And then you have Teddy Atlas and Ken Rideout. Oh, well, other fighters have done it. Okay, but, just because people make decisions that may not be the best possible decision in life doesn't mean you have to follow them down that same road. If someone wants to lose vision in their eye so they could win, that's their decision. Is it the right decision? I think I'm going to say no. I don't think it's worth losing your health for. No. In my opinion, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to tell other people what they should believe, what they should think. I'm not here to change people's opinions. I'm here to give you both sides to a story and let you decide. But also, when someone's being inconsistent, when someone is displaying double standards, when someone is showing deceptive propaganda and putting out false narratives, they will be called out here. They will be called out here. I'm consistent. And if I'm given information that changes my mind, then I'll say, well, I used to believe this, but I believe this now because of what I learned currently. Oh, Ken Rideout and Teddy Atlas. Oh, we don't know if he really suffered that orbital bone. We got to see an X-ray, dude. The guy's face was caved in. Okay, there was no doubt that he suffered a serious injury in that fight. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. I don't think he's ever going to come back. Some people say he will. I don't think he's going to come back. I don't think he'll ever be champion again. I think this is a career-ending injury, to be perfectly honest with you. And if I was his manager, I would advise him not to come back. Kell Brook came back, never the same. Broke his other eye socket, right? So that's the thing. I just don't think he should come back. If you ask me from my vantage point, in my opinion, I don't think he should come back. You know, I don't think he should come back. But the bigger picture here is what IFL TV did, what Michelle Joy Phelps did, and some of these other channels did who have been influenced by MTK Global, that have been influenced with their relationship with Billy Joe Saunders. Like I said, it's great to get access or whatever, but how far and how much do you want to compromise your integrity? And if you're going to take down the Billy Joe Saunders videos, then you need to take down the Daniel Dubois videos too, which they haven't not done, to my knowledge. So that's the thing. That's the thing. This is really not to bash Billy Joe Saunders at all. I would have stopped fighting too. I would have stopped fighting too. You know, I don't think that there's anything wrong with making a decision and trying to preserve your health. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But as I said, and I'll continue to say, the media shouldn't be out there trying to do damage control for Billy Joe Saunders when they didn't do it for Daniel Dubois. And they shouldn't do it for anybody. But it's even worse that they're showing their hypocrisy and their double standards. And they're Michelle Joy Phelps asked Mark Tibbs legitimate questions. She got legitimate answers. So what's wrong with that? That was proper journalism, right? That was proper journalism. She gave him a hug at the end of the interview. She showed her concern. She showed her respect for his compassion, her admiration for his compassion. And I echo those same sentiments. I agree 100% with what she said and what she did. But it's a shame she took down the video, and I had to get the video from someone else. I had to get a re-uploaded version from another channel because these channels did not want to stand on their laurels. They didn't want to stand on their laurels. That's what it is. That's what it is. This is the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. This is why boxing media is a joke. We don't have media members anymore. We have surrogates now. Now we have surrogates. We have sycophants. We have PR people now. The media people have become essentially PR people for these fighters. That's what they've done. That's what they've done. And this is why you could say, oh, Beeb, you're a hater. You can never be as guilty as charged. Guilty. Won't deny it. Keep saying it. Bring it on. I am a hater. 150%. Because if I had that access, I would use it effectively. And if it meant losing that access, then guess what? I wouldn't want it. This is why I don't do many interviews. This is why, because I won't kowtow to these people. I won't kowtow to these people. I have conversations with people, and after I finish, they'll tell me, you can't go on record with that. All right, fine. I won't go on record with that. It's fine. But at the end of the day, I will reveal what was said. I won't mention names, but I will hold true to myself. I will hold true to myself. This is why I could never do it. Oh, don't go on record with that. Don't do this. Don't do that. No, all right, then fine. Then we won't put any of the interview up. I'm not going to edit the interview for you. I'm not going to allow you to pick and choose what's going on. I don't want to be sued. I don't want to be attacked. So I would not put myself in a situation. But if I knew that what I did was right, then I would stand by it. Demetrius Andrade, like I said, tells me, pull that down. I don't like how I answered the David Benavidez question. No, it's staying up there. Staying up there. That's the thing. That's the thing. So, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I got. That's what I got. And a lot of these management companies, they're corrupt too. They play the game. It's a lot of favors that get done. We already know the history of the sport of boxing from back in the day when the mafia had a heavy influence on it. They would control boxing. People used to take dives. People used to throw fights. You have promoters that bribed certain sanctioning bodies. We all know the situation with Bob Arum. We know that. We all know that there's been information out there about MTK Global being linked to the Irish mob. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's been put out there. It's been put out there. No criminal charges have been put on MTK Global, so we don't know. But the information is out there, and a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. So boxing's always been a questionable sport. There's always been backdoor things going on behind the scenes. And that's horrible. And that's horrible. And the track record is out there. The information is out there. All we can do is hope that it gets better. All we can do is hope that the integrity of the sport comes first. But a lot of times there's a lot of ugly things going on behind the scenes, and I think this is just another example of that. This is just another example of that. So that's all I got for now, man. I think the what's going on right now with the media and how biased they are, I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace. All I can do as an uploader is all I can do is tell the truth. If I can't go on record with somebody, then I don't want to interview that person. If someone tells me, "Oh, you can't go on record," then I won't. Then I'll just stop calling you. I won't deal with you. I don't want to have to, deal with have stipulations on what I can say and what I can't say. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. That's why I would never do this full time. I just wouldn't do it full time. It would have to take something big for me to just do this full time. Because like I said, once you say something that they don't like, they will cancel you. They will cancel you and you're done. I'll take the job I have right now. I have a government job. I'm in a union. I'm protected. I have representation. Out there in the boxing world, I have no protection. Zero protection. So it is what it is. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Biba's out. Talk to y'all soon. Make sure you check the Ringside Reporter podcast tomorrow. We have a special time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. We had to change the time due to some scheduling issues that we have. And yeah, it is what it is. So make sure you join us tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Bieber's out. We have a great fight tonight. Luis Nery versus Brandon Figueroa. Looking forward to that. Bieber's out. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Stay safe, everyone.